Welcome back to another installment of the Top 10. These are the hottest selling cards in Magic the Gathering this week from August 10th to the 17th of 2024. Do we have Bloomburrow still ruling the roost? Did maybe some Karlov Manor cards get in there? Maybe it's Modern Horizons 3. Who's number one? Stick around and find out. Hi everyone and welcome back. MTG Moxman here, and thanks again for hanging out with me on my channel today as we go through another epic top 10 video. A reminder, if you enjoyed today's content, to like and subscribe to the channel, and of course other ways of supporting my channel are just using my TCG Player affiliate link, which you'll find in the description of this video, as well as all of my videos that I produce here on the channel. Click the link, it takes you to TCG, you help the channel. Now let's start out at number 10 with 3 Tree City from Bloomburrow. Now this card is still averaging out to around the $25 mark. It's kind of insane to think that this thing is still selling 1,750 copies this week, which is $43,750 of total sales action. Now 3 Tree Cities is an interesting dynamic card that is going to see play in multiple formats, and that means players are paying attention to that secondary market to see how they're going to utilize it. This legendary land says, as 3 Tree Cities enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. You add colors to your mana pool, but you can pay to choose a color and add an amount of mana of that color equal to the number of creatures you control of the chosen type. Do I hear bunny rabbit? Do I hear otter? Yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. You may even hear thrall one day. But that is our number 10 card. Let's stop in now at our number 9 card. Now, number 9 is Fable Passage from Bloomburrow. This card comes in at $3.35 this week, and of course it had 1,845 sales for a total sales action of $6,180.75. Now, of course, being able to sacrifice Fable Passage to search for any basic lands you want is pretty awesome, but the fact that if you have 4 lands in play, this thing comes into play untapped is an amazing side little hustle of a card. Like, this is a good card to have. It's great to see it in standard rotation, and I actually think it's kind of needed to do these multicolored decks that a lot of players are trying out. We don't have Triomes right now. We got Surveil lands, which are pretty decent. You need these kind of filler cards to just make things happen for deck construction in standard. So I'm glad to see it's around, and it is seeing considerable sales action on the secondary market, which also means that the Throne of Eldraine copies are also selling. So keep that in mind. It's not just these ones, which are the ones I'm showing you, but there is other cards selling in the secondary market of Fable Passage as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at our number 8 card this week, and this is Sink into Stuper from Modern Horizons 3. Our first Modern Horizons 3 card to crack the top 10 in over a week. That's right, guys. Bloomburrow devastated the list last week by being the entire top 10. So now we have a great card coming back on. Sink into Stuper has been gaining a little bit of traction. It's back at the $5 mark with 2,690 sales, which is $13,450 of total sales action. Now, don't forget, this thing can bounce things back to your hand, but if you don't want to, then you can go ahead and use this thing to just get some land. You can pay the 3 life, put it into play, or put it into play tapped if you don't want to pay the 3 life. Either way, these multi-versatile cards are highly utilized in a lot of formats. Enjoy it. It's a great card. And for $5, you're not going to break the bank buying a copy or two. I do think it's actually going to trend upward over the next year, but it's going to take time. It's probably going to settle in around the $6-7 mark in the next 12 months. Now let's go ahead and jump down our list because we're not done yet. We're only dropping in now to the number 7 card. This is Heartfire Hero from Bloomburrow. This card was not on the list at all last week, and it jumps in to the number 7 slot with 2,839 sales, which is $1,163.99 of sales action because this card only has an average price of 41 cents. The market is 31 cents. This is not an expensive uncommon, but look what it is. This thing does have a lot of things going for it. As a 1 red, 1/1 mouse with epic artwork, this mouse soldier, don't forget it also says soldier, has Valiant. Whenever Heartfire Hero becomes the target of a spell or ability for the first time each turn, it gets +1/+1. But when the Heartfire Hero dies, it deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. Now, I've seen people pump this thing up and basically end the game when an opponent thinks they have you trapped and they think they're going to take 2 or 3 damage, and people pump this thing up. It is crazy. So pay attention to this card. It may not be expensive, but its versatility in standard is epic. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at number 6 this week. Number 6 is going to be Fountain Port again from Bloomburrow. This card comes in at $2.57 on average here, and it's got 2,990 sales, which is $7,684.30. And there is a reason why this card is selling a serious amount of copies. And it's not that it's the most powerful card, it's that it fits into a lot of decks because it's colorless. You can use this thing to create the effects you want in any color decks. You can see it in black decks, white decks, wherever you want to use it. Now, when you're looking at the card more closely, and yes, the artwork is very nice. It does remind me of reminiscent of some older stuff I'd see from like other sets, but it does say here, 2, pay it, sacrifice a token, draw a card. 3, pay a life and create a 1/1 fish. Or 4, create your own treasure tokens so you can slowly build up treasure tokens, or you can jump to other effects. It's an amazing card. Now, here we go again. We got Camilla, the Seed Meiser. Now, number 5 with 3,019 sales this week. This card's a $1.57 card, but it still comes in at $4,739.83 of total sales action. This thing is a Spirit Warlock legendary creature for 1 green, 1 black, and 1 other. And let's not forget it's also a 3/3. But it has other effects that people are, getting in on, and it's because it's a squirrel. The Squirrel Construction deck series we've been seeing right now has just been overwhelming a lot of sales listings. It hasn't made the top 10 for the most part, but there's a lot of squirrels being sold. So this thing has menace. Other squirrels you control now have menace. Whenever you sacrifice 1 or more foods, create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. And it also has Forage. Put a +1/+1 counter on each other squirrel you control. To Forage, you gotta exile 3 cards. It's interesting, guys, okay? It's not gonna be the be-all, end-all card, but it's gonna be one of those cards that fits into a lot of decks. Now let's go ahead and take a look at Dawn's Truce. This card has been trending down, okay? It's dropped from like the $10, $12 mark, $8, $7, and it's still falling down. $4.77, but it did see a lot of sales action. 3,190 sales, or $15,216.30 of sales action. It is an instant, it is a rare, and it's 1 white, 1 generic. Do I think this card is undervalued right now? Do I think it's a good bargain? I do. And let me explain why when we look at the card. At instant speed, it does have gift a card, so you can let your opponent draw a card to get the extra effect. And it says, you and permanents you control gain hexproof until end of turn. If the gift was promised, permanents you control also gain indestructible. Forget about this thing for standard. I've tried, it doesn't work that well. You can't get enough mana ramp going to keep everything alive. But in Commander, this thing is brutal, and I'm already utilizing it in a couple of my decks, also using Teferi's Protection and a few other cards. This is an amazing card for Commander. Pay attention to it. All right, now, we start getting to some serious cards, guys. Here's Caretaker's Talent. This thing has jumped up to almost the $10 mark, $9.21 on average, 3,620 sales. That's $33,340.20 of sales action. This thing is just mean, okay? And it's not because it's directly mean, it's the card ramp. It's the pluses to your creatures, and how easily you can get all these effects on the board is just staggering, okay? This thing for 1 green, 2 generic, and the fact you get to draw a card for every token you create, and you can use Mirrex or whatever you want for this thing, but then you can copy a token to get a card if you need to, and then if you don't use it for anything else, you can also creature tokens you control get +2/+2, including things you just create randomly. There's just so many ways of using this card. It is going to help out a lot of white decks. Pay attention, it's not going anywhere. Crazy sales. Now for our next card, this is Inkeeper's Talent. We've been talking about this. It was the #1 card last week, which means yes, we do have a #1 that's new this week. A totally new #1. Inkeeper did not get to stay at the top of the list because at $91,914.57 of sales action, $24.97 on average, this is a very expensive card, but it still sold 3,681 copies. The Inkeeper's Talent is just a nasty card for low casting cost because it does crazy things. For that 1 green, 1 generic, being able to put counters on things, being able to double over the counters on things, means this card is going to fit into any green deck that moves around counters or can double or triple the counters. I've seen this thing go off. It is insane. As an enchantment class level up card, this thing's of a whole different caliber. And I mean, it's not going to get banned or anything. It's not broken. but it just adds that next level generation of powerhouse hitting that you need to watch out for. That and Caretaker crazy. But now let's look at the number one. The number one card you didn't know was coming is Scavengers Talent. That's right, guys. This thing is also one of the cards we talked about last week. It was way higher on the list, and it's moved up rapidly. 4,839 sales. That's $29,663.07. And of course, it's now $6.13. I remember people buying this thing for like 25 cents, okay? 30 cents, 40 cents. I've ever had conversations about it. So what does this thing do? Well, for 1 black, this thing also says whenever one or more creatures you control die, you create a food token, but only triggers once per turn. On level 2, you can sacrifice a permanent to have somebody mill 2 cards, and at the end, you can sacrifice 3 or more non-land permanents and return a creature card from your graveyard with a finality counter on it. That is insane when there's cards being dumped into your graveyard all the time from the mill effect or other mill effects that just get things going like Dredge. This thing inside of Commander is going to be insane, okay? Pay attention to it, guys. This thing could hit the $10 mark really short, man. Really fast. Really fast. So here we are at the wrap-up, and in case you're noticing, yeah, the backdrop here is my regular place on a Saturday, where normally I would have a green screen. So this is actually really late on Friday night. I finished the counts here. I got off work really late, and we're not heading up to our other place until another hour or so from now. So I get to finish the video at home tonight, and then I can just go up there and crash and wake up Saturday and get the rest of the day going. So let's talk about what's going on in the market right now, because it is kind of, it's interesting, okay? And what I mean by that is Bloomburrow sales are really trending down on boxes of sealed product from everything from bundles, play boosters, collector boxes. But the single market is very strong and very steady, as you can see from the sales numbers that I showed you guys today. The market for these cards is actually really strong. A lot of these cards are selling at the higher price points, and all these talent cards, because they level up and don't just disappear like the old Saga cards, they are staying on the battlefield. They are something you have to deal with, and the way the Wizards of the Coast has gone about giving us options to deal with it are not that great. There's a lot of interesting deck construction ideas going on in Standard, but I'm also seeing a lot of these cards start leaking into Commander, and I've played against a couple of them, and when they go off, it's insane. You got to pay attention. You got to pay attention. I mean, yeah, of course you have to. So when I'm talking about the overall sales market, these cards here are the ones that make the top 10. But there are a lot of cards right now that are the after effect cards, like the Eater of All, and all those kind of cards are still selling 800-900 copies in a week. It's got higher sales numbers across the board for many Bloomburrow cards, and we're starting to see now some Modern Horizon 3 cards start trending upwards, and there's a lot of people paying attention to spirits and nightmares and things, wondering how that's going to, attach or possibly hook into Duskmourn. And I'll have more on that probably next week's video when I get a little more information about what I see the sales numbers adding up to and where the trends of sales are going. So thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out with me today. And of course, I look forward to seeing you guys for the Sunday top 10 video and maybe a little bonus video in there tomorrow. As well, we have the live stream on Sunday, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. And if anyone's shopping on TCG Player, please, I encourage you to use my link. It does help the channel. That 3.5% allows me to buy cards for the channel. So if you're going to shop there anyway, click the link, help the channel out. It's great, it's easy, and it's free. Guys, thanks again. See you tomorrow. Hey guys, a big shout out and thank you because, hey, it's time to represent. These are the patrons of the channel. These are the supporters who tune in and help out every single day. Because of these patrons, daily uploaded content is made possible on YouTube. If you're one of my patrons or YouTube membership members, you had a part in the creation of all these videos I do every day, and you're the encouragement that allows them to happen. So thanks again to my viewers. Thanks to everyone. I'll see you tomorrow with another video. We're here. You made it to the end. Welcome back to the Ramble Jamble. You know what? Bruce Campbell, he salutes you. He's glad you made it. He's surrounded by evil, and he's low on gas. It's the one in the car we want! With that cool accent. The Ramble Jamble today is brought to you by the patrons and supporters of my channel. Thanks again for shopping smart, shop S-Mart. And I'll be honest, the sales are staying consistently high. Consistently. This is the numbers I like to see. It shows an even playing field, even for the expensive cards, low-end cards. There's a lot of interest in Bloomburrow. Part of that interest is being driven by the low prices of some of the cards. There is always a chance these cards are going to connect with other things and then bounce back. Pay attention to that, guys. Now, at the same time, the unexpected cards people didn't think were that good at first that shot up is hilarious to watch. All these talent cards, myself included. I can't believe that I really didn't pay that much attention to these until it was too late. And I have a few friends who got in early, and I have friends who bought at the high, and you're just like, wow, this is a weird world we're in. Anyway, it's interesting. I look forward to seeing you guys in the live stream, and don't forget we're going to have some fun on the Sunday video, so stay tuned. And maybe there's a bonus video tomorrow at some point during the day, or today when you're watching this video. There may be a video later about some stuff that arrived at my house in the mail. And I want to share that with you. Some epic people have delivered some cool stuff. Thanks again, guys. Have an awesome one! I gotta go do the lawn.